So, hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, your one stop solutions for mastering data analytics series. So, today we are diving into the SQL, which is one of the most crucial skills for any data analyst. So, if you are looking to, retrieve, manipulate, or analyze data, SQL is your superpower. So, grab your notepad and let's get started. So, as you can see over here, what do you mean by SQL? So it's also called as SQL, or you can call it, I mostly call it as SQL, right? And other name of that you can call it as SQL. So basically SQL full form, as you can see, I have written over here, structured query language. Why is named as structured query language? Because it accesses the database which is in the structured form, right? It only speaks the language of relational database, like what we are speaking English, right? Whatever language you speak apart from English. So the SQL the relational data will only understand SQL language, right? Like how you are understanding somewhat languages, like same. The computer speaks some language the same way. The relational database will understand the language of SQL, and with the help of that, you can just fetch the data from the database. So before diving more deep into that, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next videos, where we are going to deep dive into the SQL and do some hands-on queries. So let's now again back to our SQL, which is SQL structured query language, and basically it is used to manage and manipulate relational databases, as I told, relational databases, and it helps us to store what and all you can do is store, retrieve, right? Retrieve and one more thing, what? So store, retrieve, and manage, right? Or one more thing, update, right? For example, you have a data table of student table, where you have all the records of student name, id, age, and you want to add one more column. So what you can use, update, right? So this also is used. And store means, like, of course, you are creating a table and inserting the elements into that, so it is getting stored into the database. And retrieving means to fetch the data with the help of query, select keyword, right? So we will go deep into that by doing hands-on programming, like how to do all the steps, from retrieving to manipulations to entering everything. Like there are so many things, right? DDL, you might have heard about that. So we'll definitely go on into all such things. But before that, let's understand with the help of one more example. For example, let's imagine you have a database of customers, and you need to find all those who signed up last month, right? So with SQL, what you can write a simple query and get the answers in seconds, right? Like where the month is equal to, for example, March or April or Feb. So you can just do with the help of that. And like this was all about what SQL is. I hope you understood. Structured query language. So it's the language which is used to fetch the data from the database, or you can also and one more thing, SQL is language everyone should learn, because wherever you are going in any industry is evolving. So you as a person must know how to communicate with database. As a human, you know to communicate with other human beings, right? So you'll be able to communicate with databases only if you know the language called as SQL, which is structured query language. For example, a company have a data warehouse, right? A big warehouse. So it cannot just do the complex process and tell the engineer on the or the hardware administrator team support to go and just pick out the database and take it and then do the entire process and find out the database, I'm find out the data and all. It's going to be very complex and very costly process, right? But if you are have had a database administrator or a SQL developer or some kind of data analyst, so what they can do, they can easily access those data with the help of this language. So that's the reason why one should learn SQL. And the data is increasing day by day, so the amount of requirement of database and knowledge is going to increase. So that's the reason we must learn SQL. Now let's directly go to the one thing, like why one should learn why SQL, right? I hope you guys understood what is SQL and all everything, right? So now we directly go to our PPT. So I hope you understood about the introduction part. So now let's directly jump to why use SQL. So SQL is basically, as you can see on your screen, it's a data management tool, right? And it's everywhere. You can see SQL. SQL is everywhere. It's not just at one place. It's everywhere. SQL is everywhere, from small business to tech giants like Google, Facebook, Amazon. Everyone uses database. I hope you understand, right? So I mean, why they will use that database and why they use SQL? So there are multiple things like, for example, data analysis and reporting. Data analysis can be one thing. The reason for using SQL, reporting, and what to understand the customer behavior or sales data, right? And data integrity management. So many things are there. Like why one should use SQL. So along with that, the one more thing is that this is easy to learn thing. So anyone, even if you don't have much programming exposures and you want to learn SQL, you can easily go through the basics of SQL slowly. You will take some time, of course, but you can be very good at SQL even if you are not more into tech. So because it's an easy to learn process and it's used across different databases. I hope you have known about databases like Oracle, MySQL database, right? So these are the kind of famous databases, and PostgreSQL, SQL Server. So these are kind of some of the databases on which SQL servers can be easily used. So that's it about why one should use SQL. And there are some other things also that already mentioned, standardizations, that it is a standardized language, making it universally applicable across different database system. Yeah, I just mentioned, no, that it can be used across different databases, like I mentioned, MySQL, Post. So that's one more reason. And data management tools, I think this one also we discussed, that it powerful way to manage large volume of data efficiently. If you want to store very large volume of data efficiently, you can use SQL. Like with the help of SQL, there are so many commands that I will discuss later on: create, update, insert. So we'll keep going slowly into all that. But now let's first understand the basics of SQL, or what is SQL, why one should use SQL, and all that. It's easy to use. I have already mentioned it is, syntax is very easy. Even if you are from non-tech background, you can easily learn that SQL. So basic SQL command, as I mentioned, right? Select command and insert command, delete command, update command. Select command is used to fetch or retrieve data from a database. For example, there is a student database in the college data, students records in the college databases, and they want all the student database. So I'll give you a very basic example. This is asterisk symbol. It means all, right? Technically speaking, it's means asterisk, but it means all. From student, let's say the table name in which the data, the record is inserted, is student. So if you run this query, what it will give the records of every all the students. Whatever students data is stored in that student table, all the records would be given to you by the database. You can fetch all the record with the help of this, but only one query. So just think, with the help of one query, we are able to fetch everything. So how easy this SQL has made our life. So we will get everything, right? For example, name, ID, whatever is there, age or subjects or whatever is there, everything you will get. And here you can apply some conditions also, right? For example, insert is there. So insert, what it will do, insert will insert element, insert into students, and then you will write the values on what you have to insert along with column names and values. So insert is basically used to insert data into the database, and select is used to fetch the data from the database, and update is used to update. I mentioned before, right? Update table and table name, which is student, and then conditions, right? So with the help of that, you can update the database with new column or new row or something like that, right? So, and delete command is like kind of removing a particular row. For example, you don't want to keep some of the rows, so you can just say delete from a student where, for example, age is if age is 20, you can delete the record of students. Just say, just I mean, just assume that we have to remove data. I mean, students whose age is 20 or whose age is greater than 20, so they want to just remove. So what it will do, it will delete all the records where the age of student is more than 20. So this is how these kind of all commands work. So now let's directly go to some basic SQL commands. So I think we discussed the select commands used to retrieve data from a database, and insert command, as I told, it's add new records to a table, right? Records in SQL means rows, and fields we call for columns. So you guys will slowly learn it. That's not a problem. You can call it either a row or records. Mostly they call it record because the scientific name of the rows in SQL is called as records, and fields is called for column. And update command also we discuss, I guess, along with delete command. And create is used to create a new table, right? For example, let's understand this as well. Create table, table name, any table name you can give. For example, student, employee, client, manager, whatever you want to create, you can just create. You can give any name to the table. It's not like limited to some particular thing that I just mentioned. You can even create a table with the help of your name. For example, you can create table J. So that's totally fine. But just to make it look relevant, we just use some kind of that stuff. So that was all about the basic commands that we'll be again discussing it later on in the coming videos. We'll be doing all that. So now let's directly jump to the data types of SQL. I think if you guys are from programming background, you must be aware about the data types, like integer. You might have heard integer, float, long, so many are there, right? So in SQL also we do have some data types. Here are some of the data types like date, varchar. Varchar is basically if you guys might have used char, right? But it is limited, right? If you write 10, it cannot be. It's somewhat limited, right? But it cannot store variable length string data. But if you want to store variable length string data, you must use varchar. So for example, you are restoring the student's record. You are a professor or some kind of HOD or anyone, and you want to store records of students, but you are not aware about the length of the name, or I mean, for example, some people have a longer name, some people have a shorter name. So there you can use varchar because you are not sure about the length of the string, right? So the reason, that's why they use this varchar. And in teaser, of course, I think you must have been, we can use int also. We can write in SQL. For example, primary key will use int, right? Because those are numbers. And primary keys, foreign keys, if you guys want me to cover, just put it in comments. I will cover that particular topic as well, because I think we are missing onto that. And date is also one thing that is kind of function, like date function. So it is also a data type, and it is used as function as well in SQL. So this was all about some of the data types of SQL, and there are some more data types, as you can see, float, as I mentioned, right? We might have studied in Boolean as well, in programming as well. So this was all about the data types that we discussed just now. Now we'll just go basic joins we'll understand, and again we'll deep dive into that when we are doing programming. I mean, not programming, when we'll do queries on joins. So there we will be going deep into all kinds of join. Either it is inner join, outer join. In outer there are so many joins like left join, right outer join, full outer join. So many are there, and self join also there, and cross join also there. So we'll be going on to all such things slowly, but as of now we'll just give you a brief idea about this particular thing. So joins, uh, as you can see, the inner joins combines rows from both the table. For example, you have a table called as a student and course. So if you are combining both the table, So this inner join, if you do inner join, it will just take the matching records from both the table. Like both the table, if you match, for example, you are joining both the table with the help of course ID, right? So you will take the matching records from the both tables. But in left join, if your student is left table, for example, let's say, so all the records of a student will be coming, even if the course side is null, then also it will take, because everything from left table and matching record from the right table. And ulta for right join, like here right join, I mean right table every records and matching records from the left table. So this was all about the join, right, outer and all. One more join, as you had mentioned over here, full join. So it returns, I actually, as you can see, they have written over here. Okay. So full auto join returns so matching I mean all the records when there is a match in either left or right. They return all the records, right? They don't bother about if the match is not there or something. Both the records they will return. So now let's directly jump to the SQL functions. So as you can see over here, there are so many functions, right? Aggregate functions and so many functions are there, right? Aggregate, string, date functions, perform. Date function we already discussed, right? And yeah, it's okay. Handle data and time. So yeah, aggregate function, what they will do, perform calculation on a set of values. I think you might have heard about some function, right? Some and count. So these are the aggregate functions in SQL, and max also you can see, min also you can see. So there are so many countless SQL. Mainly we use five aggregate function in SQL. So these are like kind of sum, count, uh, min, max, all these kind of functions, right? So this is all about the aggregate functions. And string functions you can see, like for example, left, right. There are so many string functions as well. Upper, what it will do, no, uh, it will just convert it into uppercase, and lower will convert it to lowercase. Simultaneously left will return the left side of that particular elements or the characters, basically characters it is used. So we'll be moving all into such things into later on when we are doing questions or queries. And now just we should understand some, we should get some brief idea about that what is that and how it works. And basically string functions work with text data, unlike aggregate function which use for calculations, as you can see. So there are also date function that I think we talked, and it work with date and time. If you want to get the date and time, you can use the date functions. For example, let's say I'll just explain one date. Select, let's say we are trying to find a joining date of something, year of joining date. Let's say example, you joined a company. So and you can directly write from the table name of, let's say table name is employee. So it will give the year from the joining date, in which year the particular employee joined, right? From employees it will give all the years, right? So this is one example of date function. And let's understand a little bit about string function also with the help of some example. So I just told upper function, right? So let's say select upper of name. So if you have a name column, it will, what it will do, it will convert into uppercase from customers. So it will convert the names to uppercase. The name is there, no? For example, your name is Arnav. So it will become or no, it will convert it into uppercase. So this is how these functions work. And that's it about the aggregate functions and all. And getting started with SQL. So what we'll do, you can install SQL software. I will be mentioning the link in the description. Or else, what we are doing currently, that we are using a very good SQL server online editor is there. Like we'll be creating our own database out there, and then we'll create tables and try to learn from there, right? So that is what we have decided as of now. So but if you want to install these softwares, you can go there and just install it. And if you want to set the environment for Python as well from now onwards, so you can download for that. Also you can download Anaconda Navigator, or you can directly go to Jupyter Notebook and do that as well. So because, or else you can do with VS Code as well. I mean, it all depends on personal interest. I personally will go with the Jupyter Notebook, which comes under Anaconda Navigator. So this was all about the SQL things and pro tips. So like uh, I will be solving some questions through lead code and data lemur. So you can just be a little bit aware about these two platforms that we will be using for SQL mostly. For Python, again, we can start with HackerRank. That's not an issue. But LeetCode is kind of data lemur is perfect for SQL. If you want to learn SQL, data lemur is the perfect kind of practice for practicing your queries. And yeah, for practice, getting started, choose a database, learn basic commands that I just mentioned, some of the commands I discussed, right, and some functions as well, like aggregate functions like sum, count, min, max, average. So these are the five aggregate functions that you must know in SQL. And why to learn what is SQL, I think we discussed everything. So that's it about this particular SQL, and that's it going to be wrap for this particular video. And if you are new to this channel, then don't forget to like the button, click the like button. And if you have any question, drop them in the comments below. And you now have, I think, a solid foundation in SQL. But this is just the beginning. In the next video, we'll be exploring real world SQL queries using data analysis. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next part of the data analytics series, where we'll be solving simple SQL queries with the help of the aggregate function that I explained. And also we'll be using some of the everything like from creating a table to inserting the elements into the table and trying to fetch the data and explain how it actually works. So that's it. If you have not subscribed till now, do subscribe to our channel, because we are going in depth for the data analytics series. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing forge onwards, and see you in the next video.